Going very slowly. Valentina, baby.
Focus. That's serious.
Let's find it.
Look at you.
This is a profession that people do. Okay, here
Let's
we
go,
go.
baby. Oh, damn.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was acting. It's so high.
Wait, sorry. Whoa. I'm sorry.
It's so foggy in here. Oh, sorry.
Secretary of Fence.
Well, Ms. de Fontaine.
There you go. Thank you very much. And then I said, that's not an Aston Martin. I mean, and of course I said, under no circumstances am I boarding that plane. I did go on the subway.
You did?
I did. Yes, I did. It was extraordinary. There's no air. There's no air. You absolutely cannot breathe.
I just looked right down the lens. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Are you hurt?
I'm fine.
I'm sorry. I poked you in the eye.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Let's go again.
There's got to be its own power source. I hate the way I just said that so much.
We haven't tried shutting down the back. Come on, But we haven't tried shutting down the
I'm glad you caught a glimpse before your retirement.
Close the f***ing door! Ready, go!
We wanted to make Thunderbolts dating back to when we were in development of Black Widow.
Look up's pretty good, though.
We're making a movie, baby.
In Black Widow, we started to introduce these characters who were kind of anti-heroes. They weren't exactly your prototypical Tony Stark or Captain America. And we realized that that was kind of an opportunity to tell a new story and introduce a new team that were on this journey of redemption and discovering who they are.
Okay. New assignment. You come to Red Guardian, you want a little help.
No, I think I'm gonna quit.
We knew that Yelena was the perfect person to kind of lead the POV of this team.
I think something that I was really impressed by when I read the beginning of the script was it was taking Yelena down a road that I wasn't expecting her to go down. We find Yelena in a state of nothingness. She doesn't feel anymore. She doesn't want to be here. They send me a job, I clock in, clock out, you know? She's not interested by life. She's not interested by people. She's not interested by all the things that we fall in love with her with in Black Widow.
Perhaps it is time that you followed in her path.
And it is Alexei that pulls Yelena back and gives her hope again.
You were happy. I'll make you something, huh?
That relationship does kind of establish the true emotional core of the film, because she goes to him looking for some sort of fatherly guidance, and he's not in a place to give it in the beginning, and finally is at the end. And my God, that scene between the two of them, I mean, yeah.
I didn't think you wanted me.
I did.
I see that. I'm late, but I'm here now.
Alexei, there's sort of two things. He's battling himself and his own narcissism. And the big thing that he's battling is his inability to deal with Natasha's death.
Alexei, I am not your Amnichka. I haven't heard from you or seen you in a year.
He doesn't reach out to her. He's not very capable in that way, and so he sort of disappears. He recedes. So he's struggling with how to be that father figure to her.
Joanna!
He actually is struggling with the idea of like loving someone and how to do that. I don't think he knows how to do that. But I think as the movie goes on, he sees how necessary he is to her, and it becomes inevitable to show up.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new Avengers.
This is a new team in the Marvel Universe, but these are characters who don't consider themselves kind of main players on the stage of heroes. They view themselves as very broken people who are trying to find their way. And so we tried to look for characters who could kind of fit that bill.
Look, I've been where you are. You can run, but it doesn't go away.
I love when they allow me to play a little bit of the duality. That's what I love about Bucky. I love that even though he's come a long way, he's still carrying his whole life experience with him. He's not a totally different person.
Steve gave people something to believe in, but you give him something to aspire to.
He's always going to have those things that made him who he is, good and bad. And it gives a different flavor to the choices that you make as an actor. And this, it feels like this is a very similar group. They could all go both ways. They're running away from the thing that scares them. They're running away from themselves. They're running away from the pain they didn't deal with, the guilt that they've accumulated from being out in the world and doing terrible things.
Sooner or later, it catches up to you, and when it does, it's too late. So you can either do something about it now, or live with it forever.
Nadia, you grab his fur, that's your step in.
John Walker, I liked the idea of starting him at a place where he'd been disgraced.
It wasn't me!
20 Bravo Victor, take 4.
He still has the idea that he's going to be helpful, and he wants to clean his slate so that he can be the person that he knows that he can be, and get back to like what makes John Walker John Walker. I'm a decorated combat veteran, okay? I have a loving wife and a son. Let's be honest, you guys are just cheap mercenaries, okay? So I clearly am supposed to bring you in.
That was funny, thank you.
But he's never really facing the reality of who he is and what he's done to get to where he got to. That's the driving force behind John.
John Walker in this movie is a continuation of his journey in trying to find his place in the world, wondering whether he's ever going to be worthy of being a hero.
Ghost is battling this incredible feeling of loneliness. She doesn't have a family, and in this movie, Yelena has her dad. And Walker talks about how he's got his loving wife and kids for the majority of the movie. And I don't have anyone. I only spent my entire life in labs, hooked up to machines so I could create this physical cage to keep my material body from disintegrating at all times. So yeah, I'm so sorry about that. And you do not want to start the whole sub-story game. Battling that kind of sense of wanting to belong and wanting to be part of something and not be alone. And for this movie, you have to have accessed that pain and that trauma, because this is what the movie deals with and battles with, and we all can connect with that. Each character in this can, and we can all bond over that.
Thunderbolts is taking a different route towards heroism or towards teamwork or coming together that is about something emotionally resonant, which is about like the need for connection and togetherness, and then hopefully it adds up to something that works on both of those levels, where it is fun And it is very funny, but then maybe also leaves you thinking a little bit about some stuff you might not expect a superhero movie to make you think about.
There's something wrong with me. An emptiness. I thought it started when my sister died, but now it feels like something bigger. Just a void. When you think of superhero movies, you're constantly imagining these amazing people being able to do amazing things all the time, which is true. They can do amazing things, surprisingly, all the time. I think something that has been really brave is looking at the inner workings of these characters and how they feel.
You think I like taking orders, going from job to job, doing the same thing all the time, again and again? You'll do it.
A lot of this movie is about Yelena figuring out who she is, who does she want to be, is she worthy of being a hero?
There was a kind of need, we felt, to give the beginning of the movie a little more weight and a little bit more surprise and up the stakes.
So we decide we're going to go to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and go to the rooftop of the Merdeka 118 tower, 2,227 feet, the second tallest building on the planet, and literally put Florence, Pugh, Yelena on the edge.
This is months and months of setup, working with the Malaysian government, working with the local production services crew. And additionally to that, our stunts team spent months designing, rehearsing the stunt rig that was going to go on top of this rooftop.
It's amazing. 3, 2, 1.
We had stunt personnel that were jumping off bridges in Idaho practicing, all before the main event of getting to Malaysia.
So here we're at the Merdeka 118, getting ready with our 2 base jumpers, Katie Hansen and Pat Walker, to do a real base jump off the second largest building in the world. And the plan is for them to run off and do a rehearsal jump.
Rolling!
Getting ready to jump, sunrise. How are you feeling?
Excited. It's a pretty beautiful morning. Had a few good rehearsals, so let's just go repeat what we've done.
3, 2, 1, action!
Katie truly is a renowned base jumper, one of the best in the world, and seeing her run off of this platform multiple times is incredible.
Once you start that countdown, it is a different mindset. You're in the zone, you're just acting and feeling, and it's really cool because you can actually feel the airspeed. You can feel yourself accelerate, and you can feel yourself as you can actually use that airspeed to fly. It's a really magical kind of zone that we're in here, where you really start to feel like you're flying and not just falling.
It's hard up here to really get a sense of how high you are because there's so little reference point with the buildings around us. So most of our thinking going into it has been what shots, what angles, and what drone angles are necessary to really communicate to the audience. We're really up here.
We have 4 cameras on the ground right now, capturing this from various angles. We have 2 drones that we're flying, capturing it in profile up high and then farther down below. And then the helmet cam jumping with Katie.
It's a weird thing to take for granted that someone's going to jump off a 2,000-foot building and just nail it every time.
What we'd like to do is start very early in the morning, you know, maybe 6 o'clock before sunrise, and start rehearsing with Florence on that building. So when the light is right first thing in the morning, we start shooting for a techno crane shot.
Let's do it. Hey, okay. I love heights. I love jumping off things. I love jumping off cliffs into water. I love rock climbing. I love hiking up high mountains. Like, I love heights. I've been excited about that since I read the first page of the script. You know, there are many times when you read a script and you're like, well, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna let me to do that. And I have a lot of thanks for Jake for even allowing that to be an option.
Disney Health and Safety just said no, you know, and that's a very reasonable thing to say. It's not a zero-risk thing to attempt. And it's only because she believed in it so much and wanted to do it so badly, and she took it upon herself to elevate it to Lou and Kevin, and then health and safety at the studio. And that, of course, is only because like she trusts Heidi and, you know, our incredible rigging team, and like has genuine, real trust in those people and trust them with her life, because that's essentially what it is.
This rig behind us is the result of an incredible stunt team, which is really from the beginning set out to do something unlike anything we've ever done before. And so this is a descender rig. So what this does is this allows us to descend Florence herself off the second tallest building in the world through lines that are running through her back. And so the way that this is constructed is this rig is built into the structure of the building itself to create maximum safety.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1, go!
I literally had 2 of the stuntings apparently checking every single bolt on the rig this morning. Just having this amount of crew that are here and are taking this obviously unbelievably seriously, but also completely and readily excited for me to do it. It's truly an amazing gift. Ta-da! Before I actually finally jumped, we'd done quite a few practices and shots of me just getting up, and that truly is the hardest bit, is just getting up and not actually falling. By the time that I was able to fall, I was actually desperate to fall just so that I could feel the sensation of being caught, because otherwise it just kind of feels like you're just standing there hoping not to fall, which is an even scarier thought, but it was amazing, absolutely amazing. The stillness of sitting there and waiting for everybody to finish their checks and finish their get-readies, and then it's your time to shine, is insane. I've never had that much pressure and power all in one word of action. And your toes and fingers are just alive throughout the entire take.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye to the 120th floor or whatever.
That's the bucket list.
We shot Florence jumping off of that building in the morning, and then went to another street and just blew up an entire floor of a building in the afternoon.
And background, and action.
We're in Old Market Square in Kuala Lumpur, and we're pretty much changing this whole storefront facade and dressing this whole area for our market scene for when Yelena is leaving and triggering the explosion. I think we wanted to capture the textures of Kuala Lumpur, and it's like a huge mix of cultures and history, and we have our explosion building, which is a slightly more modern take, and then we have some facades and styles that go back to more of a colonial style. And then with our signage shops and everything, we wanted to incorporate the rich cultural history of Kuala Lumpur itself and the mix of how diverse it is. I think it's such a cool way to end our shoot too for principal photography. We're ending with the start of our movie.
Blew up a building today. What else can we do?
The runner, and the whole thing that makes it work is that she's disaffected, looks up and it's happening, everyone else is running and she's over it. You don't have Florence, you can't do stuff. I mean, it takes a whole village. Adam did a great job at special effects here. Everyone did an incredible job in Malaysia at Busiek Films, but like, don't have her at the center of the thing. You can't even attempt stuff like this.
You do realize neither of us are ever going to have a day like this ever again in our careers. Like, that usually takes up one day.
Yeah, that's like, that was the easy part.
It's a huge help when you're working and acting in the space that your character is supposed to be in. It adds elements that you can't quite put your finger on. You're no longer having to act, I suppose. It changes everything. It doesn't make you feel silly. You actually feel like you get to be a part of it, and you get to be a part of the world that the audience will watch. It allows you to actually feel like you are that person. Thank you for this incredible experience, and what a way to end it. The best way.
Hi. I'm Bob. Bob?
Yeah.
Bob.
People think they know you. They only see you as Bob. They pity Bob. I'm the only one who knows what your real potential is, Robert. And it is limitless.
I hadn't heard of Century before Jake told me about him, but I did a bunch of research before I started this, and it was just extra gratifying to start doing a deep dive and only finding that I felt more and more for him the more I learned.
I just have this feeling that something bad happened, or
I did something bad.
I think Louis is absolutely genius. I couldn't quite imagine where Bob was going to go in this. And I think what Louis has done was really hard work. He really had to fill in a lot of blanks, and he did a masterful job.
Well, we have a little bit of a moment there.
We need to tell a story. Yeah.
It's not all about the action, okay? Just because you're in a golden suit now.
I've been getting lost in the action.
There's a very hard part, you know, like you're playing three people, essentially.
Luckily, Jake, had a very clear-cut idea of how we could kind of map it out in a more logical way.
We would have a call every weekend and kind of talk about what was coming up for the week and really try to map out, like, what are the beats this week? Which of these beats are Bob beats, which are Sentry beats, and which are Boyd beats?
Don't hurt her. Robert, the hero.
Bob's introduction is a pretty good one, I think, because you just get out of this massive fight sequence with all these superheroes, and then this weird guy just appears.
It's getting so tense in here.
Sort of the first act is trying to figure out, is he a part of it, or, how can he help?
Maybe I should have a gun?
No, I don't think so.
A large part of Bob's history is this kind of repetition of wanting to help and wanting to be of service, but every time he tries, it always makes things worse.
Hey! Over here!
One of the really fun things about designing Sentry's look was that we are not designing it through the scope of somebody trying to be an actual hero. We are designing it through Val's intention to make a very advertisable superhero.
Gold, blue, gold. I think it really works.
The gold is from the source material, but I have to admit it made me really nervous because if it's done wrong, it could be looking like a cheesy Vegas suit. So there was a lot of R&D and a lot of testing of the gold color, and then we decided to print them to break the light, to make it much more interesting. Of course, with gold, because it sort of partially absorbs but partially reflects the light, you just never know what's going to happen when it gets on the set.
Putting it on for the first time, like seeing myself in the suit was the very first time where I was like, oh, I'm a part of this world. And it was exciting and terrifying.
He's having fun. We're having such a good time together.
Certain things, physically that you think you're doing that maybe don't actually communicate well visually. And so it was helpful to be able to watch what I thought was working and then watch the frame and kind of then adjust from there. There's a sense of invincibility. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for just a normal pedestrian like myself.
The Sentry is this experiment gone wrong or gone right accidentally. And he unknowingly has, become the most powerful superhero.
Sentry, your first mission is to take out these criminals. Valentina sees Sentry as her creation. She feels that she's entitled to have power over him. And he begins to push back against that.
They're not a threat to me, so why do I need to kill them?
You need to do what I say, Robert.
This great gift that he's been given doesn't mean anything new if it doesn't actually involve his input and what he wants. And it is a little bit of this drunkenness and intoxication of power.
You were gonna turn on me, just like the rest of them.
I'm not afraid of you, Robert.
It's not Robert you need to be afraid of.
He is incredibly strong, he's incredibly fast, he can fly. He also can disappear people into this massive growing void, which is what was inside of him.
How do these characters confront someone like the Sentry, who in our natural world is far too powerful because he can't really exist in the world given his power? It's more of a metaphor for both sides of mental health, of, the hubris and then also the despair that comes underneath.
You can't outrun the emptiness.
When you go into the void, you go into this shame space, which is your shame, your worst shames, the worst moments, and you feeling like you're responsible for them from your life being played on a loop over and over and over again. So that's what was inside Bob. And now, as the void, it's what happens to everyone else.
I was so mad!
The thing that sets this sequence apart is the realism that we wanted to bring to it. And so what we did is we created these literal four-walled sets that you have to break through in order to move into the next room.
The beginning and end of every sequence is either impact through a wall, impact on a table, impact through a mirror. Everything is happening in real time, and it's a do-si-do between me and my stunties. But especially something like this, I got to run from one side of a set to the other, and we had a fake wall. And the moment I made impact, the whole thing broke and dust powdered everywhere. Just as an actor, being able to do that and to know that that is one motion and one take, and when it comes out, we'll be able to say that we truly actually did that whole sequence.
And 3, 2, 1, go!
It's very complicated. There's no way around that, because it's following Jake's singular vision for the whole thing.
There's the tilt, and then there's like one last push of like running up to the door, and if you kind of ran at the door, then you could do a cut for it.
I've been working with him since the very beginning on this, and he's always had the same references, the same eye for the progression that the actors will travel through, take them from this void space room to that void space room.
It's fun to be collaborative and figuring out how we can do all these things within tight, small spaces. Working with the special effects team and working with stunts and VFX and Jake and figuring out how all these pieces tie together, how they transition, and how actual set pieces can move to make it functional for filming.
So this is Bob's attic, built it actually, so that through that hole we could put the bathroom set and also the training room set, so when she sees Bob in the mirror, that's all done practically and he's actually in the reflection, and that we would tie those sets together so in one shot you could just sort of actually pan into this room.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, you know, just watching New York disappear into a big maze of interconnected shame rooms. You ever seen anything crazy like that before?
The attic is tricky because you have all these actors in there. It's a small space. You know, things are flying at them. We had to have breakaway pieces of furniture for stunt people and then softer ones for actors, and there's a lot that goes into that.
Who's doing this, Bob?
Oh, I think I am.
Whenever you're given the real thing, you are reacting, you are not acting. And having a chair hit me as opposed to me pretending that a chair is hitting me, actually having a curtain around my neck as opposed to pretending having a curtain around my neck, it changes everything.
You read those things on the page, and then to see them is a whole other thing. You know, the sequence where there's like a sword cutting the curtain, and then there's Sebastian like slamming a shelf down, and then Wyatt's like banging a brick, and then David is ripping a pillow, and it all happens in like 3 seconds, but it takes us like 6 hours.
What is Bob's biggest shame? It was the shame of actually signing up for that study, thinking he could be the Sentry, he could be that hero. Every time Bob has the hubris to do something heroic, everything goes wrong. And so in a weird way, this lab could be the last kind of void room.
You don't matter to anyone.
That's not true!
Essentially, he realizes and is taught through Yelena's protection and affection and like trust that the only way to really beat the void is within himself, and that looks like him visually, physically fighting himself.
I'm stronger than you. Let's see.
It's a tricky thing, right? To have to keep bouncing back and forth between these two versions of yourself. And then not only do that, but do that within a scene. For every shot, he has to shoot both passes of that fight. It has to be Louis on frame on both sides of that thing. To watch the kind of physicality and emotion within that moment that he brought to it, I mean, it's just incredibly impressive.
While they ultimately have to fight this void who is going to erase the universe, the only way to beat him is kind of a group hug.
Bob admires the Thunderbolts greatly. It's a big dream of his to kind of be a part of something like they're a part of, and so I think when they all come to the rescue, it's maybe one of the first moments that he feels like accepted. The fact that they come back for him, he is still seen and loved and embraced.
You were great in there, Bob. Thanks, Walker.
Hey, wait, and where?
Going forward, the real question would be like, is it wise for him to attempt to even be the Sentry? You know what I mean? Because with it always comes this inevitable dark side, and like maybe what Bob needs to learn is how to just be Bob.
Okay,
I can confirm that the door is unliftable.
Wow, thank you. We did not know.
Well, at least I'm trying to do something about it, unlike, patient zero over there.
Hey, job or not, can you have some respect, please?